Saxon Math, Course 2, Lesson 84. Today we are going over a lesson that is entitled Algebraic Terms. This is perhaps one of my favorite lessons to teach because of the fact that we basically take math and make it a language. Kind of like the alphabet gives us English, but it also gives us Spanish and French and German and other languages. So we have an algebraic language, and it's really part of kind of identified with the idea of the word term, okay, or terms. All right, first we're going to look at a specific term called a polynomial, okay? You'll see this word on the bottom of page 580, and a polynomial is essentially a a algebraic term that has more than one. You see the word poly, more than one look to it. Okay, so for instance, in the box up there, you'll see negative 2x. All right, this 2 is tied to an x, and so this is a term in and of itself, and it's different than 2, or it's different than 2xy, or it's different than a negative 2xyz. All right, all of these are different terms, and we could put them in their own boxes, but you see the difference in language. All right, this is a 2x, which is not negative 2, which is not negative 2xy, which is not negative 2xyz. All right, maybe so just one term, okay, would be a just a nomial. Okay, a binomial, two terms, would be something like this: a squared minus 4b squared. Okay, so here's two terms. All right, I'll put them in boxes and you can see the two terms. Okay, three terms, that's binomial, and nomial bi equals 2, and poly or trinomial, same thing, okay, equals 3 or more, right? So we have 3x squared and minus x and minus 4, and you can see three separate terms. All right, there's just a 4 by itself, there's an x by itself, and there's an x squared. All right, so very interesting things being able to turn this in. So if I just gave you a term, let's say I just wrote 3x minus 5y, what is this classified as? Well, it's a polynomial, okay? And actually it's a, if we want to get more specific, because there are only two terms here, it would be a binomial, okay? All right, now what happens if we have a a degree? For instance, if I say I have an x squared, okay, or a squared in one of my terms. Let me go to a new screen here. So what if I have x squared minus x minus 2? All right, I would note this is a trinomial, right, because there's three terms, and it's to the third degree because I have a squared, this is to the first, this is to the first, all right, which means well, actually, I'm sorry, to the second degree, because we only have two different terms. Okay, if it's to the third degree, I would have x cubed minus x squared minus x. Okay, so we have basically to whatever, and this is the first power, whatever power it is, tells me the degree. Okay, so third degree. We'll get into that just a little bit later. Let's look at something that your textbook talks about as far as like terms and unlike terms. Okay, I'm going to look at it in the form of this example: 2x plus x minus 3 plus 2x. All right, tell me what are like terms. There are three like terms. All right, now anytime you see a letter here by itself, just put a picture of 1 in front of it, because it's basically 1x, except in algebra, we don't show that 1. But for today, I want you to think about that 1 being there, okay? Watch this. These two, or these three terms that are underlined in red are like terms. So I have 2x plus 1x plus 2x. How many x's do I have? Well, count these all up and I have 5x. Okay? Notice that I didn't add squared, I didn't add anything. I just changed the coefficient. Well, it's still the same term because they all have the same variable. So really, this expression solved is 5x minus 3. Now, this minus 3 I can't combine with anything because there's no other like term. If I had a plus 2, then I could combine the two and it would be a negative 1. Okay, so we're looking at like terms. Let me give you another example. Okay, 3xy squared minus xy squared. These are both the same kind of term because remember, you have to picture the 1 there, even though we don't usually show that in algebra. Okay, so if we have a negative xy squared and we have a positive 3xy squared, really this equals 2xy squared, right? Because 3 minus 1 equals 2. And there's our coefficient, and what stayed the same was our term. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples that we see in our textbook. All right, example 1, we have 3x plus y minus x, it's plus x minus y. What does that equal? Well, first of all, I like to circle like terms and their signs, and then do another shape for other like terms. All right, so I have a positive y and a negative y. What's 1 minus 1? 0. So the y's go away. There is no, you can't have a 0y. There is no such thing. So those go away. So what I'm left with is a positive x and a positive 3x, which equals a positive 4x. That's all I have. Because really what I'm saying is 4x plus 0 equals 4x. Okay? Let's go to example number 2. A little more complicated. We have 3x plus 2x squared plus 4 plus x squared minus x minus 1. All right, let's go and circle all the x's, okay, just to start with. There's 1. Oh, I can't circle because that's x squared. That doesn't have an x. There's 1. All right, let's solve the x's first, okay? So 3x and a negative x, that means it's a 2x, okay? Those are all done. All right, now let's circle the x squareds. There's an x squared and it's a positive x squared, and there's an x squared, it's a positive x squared. So we have a positive 3x squared. Okay, those are done. All right, now let's go circle the numbers. There we go. A positive 4 and a negative 1 is a positive 3. Okay, there's our answer. But really in algebra, we like to rearrange this and put the highest exponent first. So really we can say 3x squared plus 2x plus 3. All right, this one stayed the same. This one changed this direction, this one changed this direction, and now this is in what's called descending order, okay? Which is the proper order, okay? I'll give you a gold star for doing that, okay? All right, that's your lesson today. It's about terms, it's about finding like terms, it's finding polynomials, the nomial, the binomial, and the trinomial, and we'll talk about to the degrees of which they come later on in a different lesson. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to help.